Hello, my name's Kayla, this is Cinnamon, Peaches, and Sage, and I am so excited for the Indigo Disk DLC to drop in a couple of days. I have so many theories about this DLC, and obviously only so many videos I can make before it comes out. So this video is going to contain all my main predictions for the DLC. But I also want to hear all of your predictions, so let's turn this into a game. I invite you all to join in on the first ever Pokemon Predictions Bingo! The rules are simple. Just like a regular game of bingo, you want to get 5 of your predictions right in a row. The Ditto block is a free space. You can use this board as a template or create your own. And you can share your bingo board either on Twitter or on my Discord, Capsule Monsters. That way the entire Pokemon community can play this game together and see which of our predictions were right. I'm going to share my bingo board and talk about my predictions in this video. Feel free to reuse some of the same ones that I have, just put them in different boxes. My first prediction is that each Tera orb contains a baby Terapagos. This is because the hexagon within Tera orbs looks a lot like Lico's pendant. If you've been watching the anime, you know that Lico's pendant transforms into a baby Terapagos. Also, the sound Tera orbs make when they activate sounds very similar to Terapagos' cry. Next theory is that the new type, aka Terapagos' type, is either going to be called Stella or Celestial. Stella because that's what it was translated to in Japanese, and Celestial because of the Ed Sheeran song. Next theory is that Terapagos has a shield ability. I feel like this one's pretty obvious since we kind of saw it in the trailer and we definitely see it in the anime, but yeah, probably gonna have some sort of defensive shield. I think Terapagos and the crystal's other ability is to create visions of the past and future. One way we see this in the game is that Heath and his group see things from other times. For example, they see the Paradox Pokemon despite them not being brought there until the time machine is created way later. Heath also has a vision of the future when he sees how Tera orbs created by who is highly suggested to be either Sada or Turo depending on the game. The timey-wimey interconnectedness of Heath and Sada Turo is what makes all of these things a paradox to begin with. This explanation answers Arvin's question at the end of the main game of Scarlet and Violet. It explains how the crystal pool works in Kitakami. Because it has those crystals within it, people aren't seeing dead, revived ancestors or anything like that. They're just seeing their ancestors from different times. It also fits with Terapagos' ability in the anime. When it activates, Liko is able to see someone from ancient times. Speaking of seeing someone who's no longer alive, I think these crystals will allow Arvin to reunite, so to speak, with Sada or Turo. He's not going to actually meet up with them, he's just going to see events that happened in the past that will allow him to get closure. This fits with where his arc ended so far when he was looking for more information about his parents. Speaking of characters from the main game and their arcs, I think Penny is going to be helping out members of Team Star. In the trailers, we see Giacomo and what is assumed to be Mela in regular student uniforms. What's going on with them? Are they losing their individuality? I think Penny is going to be helping them out with this. This is more of a hope than a theory, but I really hope that Penny says something sassy because those are some of the funniest moments in the game. And then for Nemona, I'm hoping that we learn more about her family. We know they're very wealthy and they don't pay a lot of attention to her. I kind of want Nemona to confront them about not putting the people they love first. My next theory is about Brassius. We know that Brassius created the structures that are within the Artazon maze. And if you watch my theory video about this, which you totally should, we know that the Artazon maze is a map of Area 0. Did Brassius have visions similar to Heath? For example, did he see the tree in Area 0 and then make this harvest statue? Brassius explaining this could go a long way in explaining how the crystals work as well as Terapagos. Speaking of Brassius, I think that the Pokemon that he gives us, similar to Iono's Magnemite, is going to be either a Sunkern or a Sunflora because of the statues all around Artazon. Next theory is that the Blueberry Academy students are related to famous people, especially those in the Unova region. This is a theory that's been going around a lot and I totally support it. The character designs match up. It would be super interesting and it makes sense in a region that's inspired by this part of the world for people with famous parents to get into fancy schools. Next theory is that Lacey's puzzle incorporates the Ditto blocks. Lacey is described as a character who likes puzzles and the Ditto blocks make a lot of sense for that. plus they match her hair, which doesn't fit with her ancestors' hair color. Speaking of character designs, because of Serrano's scarf, I think he probably has an Aegislash. He's super mysterious though, and I can't figure out anything else about him. A character that seems less mysterious and more devious is Briar. I think that she might use Jacques to get something that she wants. Jacques seems to really admire her, and I could see her using this to her advantage, especially with Jacques' knowledge of the Paldea region. Based on the way Briar looks in this image, I think that she is going to use that information to do something dangerously stupid. Not sure exactly what she's gonna do, but I wouldn't be surprised if it involves Terapagos. And then there's Kieran. I think Kieran is probably going to say his signature catchphrase, "Aw man," at some point in DLC 2. I forgot exactly how many times he says it in DLC 1, but it's a lot. Next thing is that I don't think Kieran is being mind controlled. I think he might be being influenced by a certain Peach Pokemon, but I don't think it's actually controlling his actions. He has plenty of motivations outside of a Pokemon controlling him to be doing what he's doing. If you want to learn more about those motivations, I have a bunch of videos about Kieran and Carmine that I definitely recommend you check out. Speaking of those videos, I'm predicting that Kieran is definitely going to be a villain, at least in the first part of this second DLC. By this I mean he's going to be using his Pokemon as sources of power rather than using the power of friendship, which is basically the main theme of Pokemon. But I do think that Kieran will redeem himself a bit by the end of the second DLC. I think this redemption is largely going to come from reconciling with his sister Carmine. Carmine learns a lot in the first DLC, and she begins to regret some of the choices she made around Kieran. I think the scene in which Carmine tells Kieran to keep the ogre mask right before the festival was foreshadowing of how Carmine is going to help Kieran find his identity in DLC 2. We know that Dipplin is going to have an evolution because it is affected by Eviolite, an item that only works on unevolved Pokemon. I think that this Dipplin evolution is going to be bug-dragon type. There are a couple of ideas behind this. So one, there are two worms within Dipplin. It seems like the worms or the bugs are taking over the apple or the grass type object. Additionally, this is almost definitely going to be Kieran's ace. Kieran is very anti-grass right now because of the whole situation with Ogerpon, so it makes sense that his ace would be a bug type because bug defeats grass. I also think that we're going to return to Kitakami at some point in this DLC, possibly to visit the Crystal Pool. It would also make sense to return there to visit Kieran's grandparents and also Peachy's shop, considering how suspicious she is. If there really are forbidden fruit Peach Pokemon in Area 0, I imagine Peachy might know a thing or two about them, especially considering the plushie that's on her stand. I made a theory video about this one, but I think the Loyal 3 are probably from Unova. I don't know if we'll get that confirmed, and if it's not actually confirmed, then I won't count this one, but I think it's probably right. Final theory is that the Peach Pokemon, if it exists, which I'm assuming it does, is either yellow or purple in color. Originally I was leaning toward purple, and I think most of the fan base was, because we have that purple plush type thing on Peachy's stand that very much looks like this Pokemon. We know that it looks like this Pokemon because we actually see it briefly during the grandfather's story. Plus, with the toxic chains being purple and being highly suggested to have come from this Pokemon, it makes sense for the Pokemon itself to be purple as well. But there's also an argument for yellow. On a poster in Medali, next to a poster of the Loyal 3, before the Loyal 3 were even announced, is this picture of yellow peaches. Well, not peaches exactly. This fruit is called Sudachi. For those of you following leaks, you know what I'm referring to. Regardless of the leaks, we see this exact same fruit drawing in Heath's book. And then in the most recent trailer, we see a very peculiar object in Kieran's hair. Considering what we suspect about Kieran and the peach Pokemon, it seems like the peach could either be purple, yellow, or maybe even both. Those are all my predictions for the Indigo Disk. Do you think I'm gonna get bingo? Let me know in the comments. And here's the blank bingo board in case you want to use it as a template to play as well. I'm going to be recording my playthrough of the Indigo Disk and putting it right here. I'm going to be using this bingo board as I play, so it'll be really fun for all of us to play bingo together. I hope you have a great day or night, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!